And here, KSMO Radio, 1340 AM, 95.7 FM. It is time to sit down with Mr. Daryl Scout from South Central Regional Stockyards. We're going to talk about some markets. And, Daryl, good to see you. Getting ready for the cold weather, are we?
Good morning, Stan. Yes, it is great to be here. A little cooler out there this morning than it was yesterday, or had been a few days. But at any rate, it's cool this morning, but it's probably warmer this morning than it's going to be maybe tomorrow or for a few days. And but we're out here, what are we, January 23rd?
Yeah.
And we basically have been gotten this far into the winter without any serious winter weather, but we're about to get some. So I hope everyone's prepared and ready, and we'll be careful and good luck with your livestock. Get them in where they got shelter, and the main thing, water. Water's always gets to be a critical thing when it gets to be weather like this.
And don't forget to check on your neighbors, too, if
right.
they're elderly, etc., because this is going to be one of those wind-driven storms this time, because it's going to be dry snow, so it's not going to be real heavy snow.
But it will move.
But the problem is you're going to have 20-mile-an-hour winds moving that snow all over the place. So you may have drifts 3, 4, 5, even 6 feet tall.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've dealt with bad, serious drifting issues. I remember several years ago we did. But at any rate, hey, it's January.
It's winter.
It's winter. Last year, we were just talking earlier, Stan, last year it was up in February, about the third week of February, when the worst winter weather hit us. And I remember it well because I was just my spring calving cows were starting to calve, and it was had snow on the ground coming down furiously, and within a couple of days it was 10 below zero. And had some short ears and tails and things, but that's all right. Didn't lose any, got through it. But this year it's going to get us here in January. And so just be careful out there, and might want to do a little extra feeding even here tomorrow morning. I think we'll have a little window tomorrow morning, it sounds like, before the worst of it hits.
Well, it may in our area. Yeah, if you're listening to this out towards Springfield area, you won't get that opportunity. They're going to get hit first. This system actually is coming out of New Mexico and Texas and Oklahoma, moving that direction from the southwest. We don't normally get those.
Yeah.
But we're
those,
getting it.
But those generally end up being a big one.
Those are the big ones.
They carry lots of moisture.
They carry lots of moisture, and so when it's coming through, just be prepared for that, and be careful out there. That's all we can really tell you. If you don't have to get out, like Daryl said, get everything you need now. Don't have to get out, don't get out for the weekend.
Yeah. But anyway, all across South Central Regional Stockyards country, we're expecting a pretty good snow, pretty big snow. I say good. That's a relative term, but pretty good size snow, and it will affect things.
It will.
Good possibility it will affect whether we have much of a sale. We don't expect to have much of a sale this coming week, but
you had a sale last week.
We did, and the week before, and 2 weeks ago when I was on, Stan, we just finished having our first sale of the year on January 7th, and I think, let me see here, I think the verbiage when I went to describe it was wow. Was the best description I could use for it.
I do remember that, yeah.
Well, you know what, I'll tell you, we've had, since then, we had another sale on January 14th, and then we had a sale this past week, January 21st. And I find it hard to believe that I would say wow with 2 exclamation points on them for both of those sales, because they even were higher than what we had been for our first sale as far as these feeder. There's just great demand for these feeder calves, especially calves that are those lighter weight calves. People might not realize right now a lot of these kind of lighter weight calves are being bought to prep them to go to grass, go to blue stem pastures in Kansas, actually being going to be going on in the lots and being prepped to go to wheat pastures. Even in western Kansas, they're going to graze a lot of that wheat out, and because of the price of cattle and the gain they can get on these good calves, why a lot of that wheat's going to get grazed out rather than even harvested. So a lot of factors come into play, and it's always interesting. We don't always fully realize what all's going on that impacts the prices. But we've had a couple of really good sales. This past week we had nearly 1,000 head, and the market reported, the week before was much higher, was a good bit higher than it had been even the January 7th sale. But our sale this week, even just to quote the market reporter called the steers that were under 650 pounds. And again, that would be reflecting these cattle that are kind of two-way. They can go to feedlots, or they can go to grass. And there's great demand in the feedlots. This corn has come down. We had a bumper crop of corn come in. Corn prices are much lower, so the cost of gain to put on cattle is lower. So there's great demand in the feedlots. But the market reporter called the market this week for cattle under 650 pounds firm to another $5 higher. And then they called the slaughter cows, slaughter bulls were probably $6 to $8 higher on those slaughter cows and bulls. And so, but to just give you a bit of an idea, it was.
I have to laugh because it's just every time you come in, higher, higher, higher. You know.
I know.
And it's been consistent. This has been a consistent run. I think the last time it was down was what, November?
Well, back we had back in
November.
It would have been back about the time whenever Mr. Trump announced that he was going to they were going to expand imports from Argentina.
Right. I think that was in November.
And everybody, oh my gosh, and the markets, they fell out of bed and stuff until they got to looking, and we didn't hardly import any cattle from Argentina anyway. And so you take 5% more of almost nothing, that amounts to not very much. So or even 10%.
Yeah, 5% of
5 or 10% of nothing is still just about nothing. Yeah. So they finally figured out it wasn't going to amount to much.
Yeah, 5% of 20 is 1.
Yeah, so but at any rate, it was kind of down. It was really strange this last year. Probably the highest marketing time we had was actually in October, which historically is one of the down months because of so many calves.
That, yeah.
So it's just been a strange deal. And the futures market, it doesn't know what to do. They're constantly through futures trying to pull the market back, and so the futures is constantly lagging the cash trade, and the cash trade's constantly pulling the futures back up to where it needs to be to reflect.
How would you even bet on the future, Darryl? I mean, when you see the prices now, who would have thought this 9 months ago, 10 months ago? No, you couldn't have.
Well, it's just all kind. Actually, a week ago today, futures fell plumb out of bed to the tune of about $8 a hundred over a false rumor about this New World screwworm. It was, that there's, was it in the? I don't know what the rumor was, but it turned out to be false. But futures just went bananas over it and knocked it. Well, the whole thing with the New World screwworm, it isn't a meat issue. It isn't a health issue. It's a management issue and a pain in the tail, and no pun intended. But for the cattle or wherever it gets on them, it's a problem. Then you got to get in, and it's so it doesn't create a health problem, or whatever, but it creates a real serious problem if they get here. They were here years ago and they exterminated them, and then they're working their way back in Mexico, and Mexico's working on it. So at any rate, but it was a false rumor about where it was showing up, and the futures market blew up over it. But at any rate, I just want to get into this here first. We'll talk about futures a little bit more in a minute, because futures they're just all over the board, and they're just like a wacky yo-yo. So
but most of those people that do the futures are not in the cattle business.
They don't know crap about the cattle
business. It's all about commodities for them. It's a gamble.
Yep.
It's betting.
Yep. So anyway, this week, January 21st, they did call it on those lighter cattle steady to at least probably $5 or so higher. I would say some of them are probably even higher than that. But just to give you some ideas, and on these steers, some of these lighter weight steers weighing about 320 to 334 pounds, we're trading in a range of $5.60 to $6 a pound. Had these a little bigger cattle, 366 to around 370 pounds. They were trading 572 to 580 a pound. We had some really nice thin little cattle there weighing 428, bringing 570 to $6 a pound. And again, that's some of those lightweights, thin flesh. They're going to take them and get them in some lots, get them warmed up and ready to turn out on blue stem or turn out. Those cattle are probably going to go to wheat pastures. We had, and just to give you an idea, we had some of these cattle weighing 572 or 484 pounds. And I want to stress this. When we talk about prices and things, some people, they think, well, I hear these prices and I don't have a pot load, and so they think it's always a pot load or truckload. No, that ain't the case. I want to give you an example of that here. We had one lot here of 11 head. These cattle weighed 489 pounds, and they brought $5.90 a pound.
11 head.
These were 11 head.
Yep.
These were from a top producer. This was excellent. These were black calves, excellent genetics. They'd been weaned 60 days. They'd had 2 rounds of shots, so you had a combination of excellent genetics, excellent health program, been weaned a long time. So you put that all together, and those old calves brought $5.90 a pound. And a matter of fact, I know the folks that sold those cattle, and excellent set of calves, like just 11 head. Mm-hmm. And I actually went up. I got it, and I've got a picture of the board when they sold. Brought $5.90. That's $2,800 a head, and they were top genetics. And those calves now are living in Kansas. I can tell you that. Yeah,
and that's why when you stress the programs, the Starvac program and all these programs, it's to get to those cash levels, isn't it?
And it is, but I mean, even right now, there's great demand even right now for calves right off the cows.
But
It's
to
just
get the
incredible.
top dollar.
To get those top dollars, yep, you're gonna, to really those when we're talking what those top dollars are, those are generally going to be weaned and long time weaned. At least 45 days, usually 60 days or better, and a full health program and so on. But even if you don't wean them, though, if you get a couple of rounds of shots in them, it'll make a world of difference in what them cattle are with. And to be honest, hey, this weaning cattle's no piece of cake. It's a job, and you know what? You run that risk sometimes. In spite of everything you do, sometimes they get sick, and you have to deal with that. And if you're not on it and on top of it, you may lose one or two. Well, you lose one or two of them when they're the price they are. Boy, that stings. That hurts, and especially when you look at what you can sell them for. Right now, we sell lots and lots and lots of calves right off the cows, and they're bringing. I know a boy that sold some calves right off the cows, bringing right at $2,500 a head. And here's the other thing too. There's a lot of calves being sold out in the country to people that will go out in the country. So I'll give you $2,200 a head for your calves. Like, boy, that sounds like an outstanding price. They don't realize they bring them to the market. They bring $2,400, $2,500, $2,600 a head. And so watch. When you're just getting one bid on a set of calves in the pasture, you're not getting a competitive bid. And when we run them in the ring, you got all them buyers sitting there watching them, plus all those buyers on the internet. And we're selling lots and lots of cattle all the time on DV auction through the internet, as well as cows. But lots of our bred cows and things and pairs, lots of them will go to some folks who will tune into the sale and on the internet, watch the sale live, and bid accordingly. So it all makes a difference. So, but anyway, I just wanted to stress that there was a little package 11 head, weighed 489 pounds at $590.
Yes, you don't have to be a mass cattle producer to use South Central Regional Stockyards. 11 head.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, these folks had about 40, 50 head, but this one group sorted up into that 489 pound range, and they were just perfect for. And again, with the health program and genetics, they found a new happy home in Kansas somewhere, so they're already enjoying some cool weather where they're
Probably
at.
where the Chiefs are moving.
But them, even a little west of where the Chiefs are going. I can guarantee you that. Yep. Anyway, we had, but get on in a little bit heavier weights, 550 to about 600 pound calves, bringing about 450 to 510, 511 a pound. Get into your six weights, cattle weighing about 630 pounds or so, bringing in that 4 to 456 a pound range. Still just super prices. But again, and then, let's get on in. We had a number of old calves, a little bigger calves weighing 650 to 690. Excellent calves, bringing $3.75 to $4 a pound. And a year ago, nobody would have ever dreamed of even getting anywhere near $4 a pound for some calves weighing 6.5 to almost 700 pounds. So, just good prices.
That was a dream.
Just good prices straight through. But as I've said, go buy a new truck, go buy a new trailer, go buy a new tractor. A tractor that not that many years ago would have been, say, $15,000 for brand new, will be $100,000 or more.
If you can find one.
Yeah. And so, it's all relative, and, or pay for your insurance and all the feed costs that we have here, then everything goes with it. So producers at least are getting paid. But again, there was lots of action on the DV auction. We'll get into the slaughter cows. And again, as I said, the slaughter cows were probably $4, $5, $6, $8 higher. On the slaughter cows, these bigger cows weighing in the 11 to or 1,400 to 1,700 pound range. Those bigger ones bringing in the range of about $1.45 or 7 to about $1.84 and a half per pound. You get into cows that are a little smaller, not quite cutting out quite as much. 1,100 pound to 1,400 pound cows, $1.46 to $1.71 and a half. And then you get into your little smaller lean cows, 1,000 pound, 1,100 pound cows. They'll still bring $1.05 to $1.51 a pound. So still very good prices on these weight cows. And they were sure enough $4, $5, $6, $8 higher. Slaughter bulls the same way. Had a few slaughter bulls weighing 1,500 to 1,970 pounds, and they trading in a range of $1.80 to $2.09 a pound. So you take a bull weighing 2,000 pounds and brings $2 a pound, and there's $4,000 for a slaughter bull. So if you got an old bull out there, he's done his job. Well, it's a good time to cash him in and turn that money around and invest some younger better genetics, and that's what a lot of folks are doing. We did have just a few nice second and third stage cows they were 2 to 8 year old cows, bringing about $2,975 to $3,400 a head. There's good demand for those good bred cows that are good to go back home and have calves and produce again. We talked about the futures, and I talked about it's been a crazy yo-yo. As I said, last Friday they were down about $8 due to this crazy false screwworm rumor. Geez, it drives us nuts. So, but at any rate, I've kind of tracked that. Yesterday, January feeders were up 55 cents to close at 363.77 and a half. A week ago, though, before the screwworm rumor, they were at 368, 552 and a half. So, they were 5 cents higher a week ago before the screwworms were dealing. Yeah. Now, all this week, they kind of worked their way back. But it's funny, they're kind of holding it back a little bit, I think, because actually later today, at 2 o'clock today, I think it is, the USDA will release its latest cattle on feed report. And so the traders, especially the futures trader and all that, it seems like they always had, I don't think it may. I think the cattle on feed report could show there was no cattle in the feedlots, and somehow or another the traders would go, oh, well, that was more than we thought there'd be, so therefore, it's just kind of nuts. It's it's kind of nuts.
Overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's just kind of nuts on that thing. But at any rate, back on these feeders, feeder futures. Again, the feeder futures obviously are trailing the cash market. The November feeders yesterday traded up 60 cents at 345.50. A week ago, though, they were at 348.60. 2 weeks ago, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, November feeders were at 346.35. So we're just a little bit behind on November feeders from what we were a couple of weeks ago, but they're working their way back. And just as a point of interest, live cattle, which is the live finished cattle is what that is. Yesterday for February, they actually down 67.5 to trade at 232.42.5. And again, that's probably trailing the cash market a little bit. I haven't really checked in on what the cash market for sure is the last few days. But 2 weeks ago, that live cattle futures would have been at 235.100. So it's a little behind. And then I always like to check in and see what the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, what the feeder index is, which is a compilation of feeder 7 to 9 weight feeder cattle prices across the, I think it's 8 states. That feeder index as of January 21st, which is, what is that, Wednesday? Yeah.
That's Wednesday.
That feeder index would have been 365.23. And 2 weeks ago, that same time period, that was 363.15. So it's a little ahead. But it's reflecting real-time actual prices that are gathered at the market. So, anyway, excuse me.
That time of year.
It's always that time of year for me. Always. So anyway, later today, though, as I said, the latest USDA cattle on feed report is to be released, and anxious to see what that says. The expectations actually are that that it'll be 3% lower numbers on feed, and somewhere around 6 to 8% lower placements. And that actually they expect marketings to show being about 2% more. And this is all compared to a year ago.
Right.
So if those things come in, it should be a good bullish report for producers, but we'll just have to wait and see what it says and what the reaction is. They always like to try to find something that is a negative.
And all the experts come out of the woodwork.
Exactly. Now, later this month, towards the end of the month, or maybe the first week of February, I don't remember when it's released, but later we'll have then the USDA January 1st total cattle inventory report, and that's a report they gather that as of the first of the year, how many cows, calves, heifers, etc. there are actually out here on the farms and ranches, and compare that with a year ago. That one will be interesting to see how it compares to 1 year ago, because the year ago it showed, and then the mid-year estimate showed that there's just less cows out here in the country having calves than there's been in 50, 60 years or more, 70 years even. So that'll be an interesting one to see, but it should be a bullish report as well. That I'll be surprised if it doesn't show a little lower numbers yet than last year, just from the cull rates. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, still recovering from a drought. Still.
Yep. Well, and this drought,
We
can
still
tell you-
have a drought.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. There's
Even with 12 inches of snow, if we get that, we'll still have a drought.
that 12 inches of snow won't amount to a whole lot of moisture.
No, it does
hitting
not.
the ground, especially coming down with as cold and as dry as it'll be.
Especially blowing around like it will be.
Yeah,
It
so-
won't be concentrated.
So anyway, but with the weather, I can tell you we do expect probably a much smaller sale this week. If you're thinking about selling, give us a call and kind of check on what's going on. It looks like maybe on north of us, where a lot of the cattle will be going, it's probably not going to be that bad for moving cattle, but extreme cold, and I'd say it'll just be a good week to hunker down and not worry about moving cattle. But if you have any questions, please give us a call. The barn number is 573-422-3305. Or of course, call Dave Patton at 573-308-6655, or Ross Patton 573-308-6657, or Bill Patton 573-308-6658, or feel free to give me a call. I'll be keeping tabs with the guys here the first of the week on what's going on as far as whether we're going to have a sale or not. And my number, of course, is 573-308-5415. I can tell you we are already kind of gearing up for a really good special again here for the first sale in February, and I believe that'll be, February 4th, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like
And
that. Yeah.
so anyway, be thinking about that. And would mention too, here we are towards the end of January, and we feel like we're at the depth of winter, but it's time to start thinking about getting ready to get these fall calves that are running around out there, get them vaccinated, start the vaccination process before long,
That's a good idea.
and be getting them lined up and thinking about what you're going to do on marketing on them here in later this spring or this summer, so on. So kind of be thinking about that. So
Now,
anyway,
we're only barely a month into winter.
barely a month into winter, but you always got to be thinking and
Oh,
planning.
you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
And
so-
as you mentioned, even last year we had that nasty weather in February. And February is usually when you get these 12, 14, 15, 18 inches of snow.
Big
It's
heavy
usually
wet,
in
a lot
February.
of big heavy wet snows so much
Yeah.
of the time in February. So anyway, we'll be dealing with it, and I'm fixing to go feed some cattle here pretty soon myself, and try to get some things, make sure the water is working right, and make sure some other cattle are set up well, and get some feed out. So, but be very careful out there. I do want to mention one thing, though, that is coming up also here. The Stockyards isn't necessarily sponsoring this or not necessarily promoting it, but just to be aware, there's a gentleman, Jim Hardicke, has Farm Risk Advisor Insurance, and there's a program out there for livestock risk protection. You can do what they call LRPs, livestock risk protection contracts. And, these days you can insure about anything against about anything, but you can actually insure cattle, and these insurance rates are based on what the current CME cattle Chicago Mercantile Exchange feeder index prices are and what the projected prices are. You can actually insure. Right now you can get a contract to insure your fall calves for a price for May or June on those calves, and it amounts to so much a head, depending on what price you want to insure them at. You can insure them for depending on what that CME index. That CME index right now sitting there around 365. You could insure them for $350 a pound, and it'll cost you so much a head, $50 to $75, $100 a head to insure them at that. And if that sale time they'd be below that strike price, well then you would get a payment for the difference. And if they're not, then you will pay the premium of so much a head. So it's how much you want to gamble on that and pay that. But at any rate, it's kind of an interesting thing to look at and hear about. It's fairly new. A lot of it's fairly new, especially to people in our area. So at any rate, this gentleman is going to be holding a livestock risk protection meeting on Thursday, February the 5th, up at the West Side 42 Grill, which is a restaurant attached to the Stockyards right next to the market there.
Right.
It will be on Thursday evening, February 5th at 6:30, and they are going to have a brisket dinner, lunch, supper they're going to serve. And his number, you need to RSVP to Jim Hardicke if you're interested in this. And his number is 573-680-1230, 1830. The barn's not handling the reservations, and again, the barn's not necessarily sponsoring it, but did want to make folks aware that Mr. Hardicke is this is what he does, and they also sell what's called pasture and rangeland forage insurance, and you can actually buy insurance against drought hitting and reducing your amount of pasture and forage, and then that ends up getting based somehow or another on National Weather Service rainfall amounts as recorded. And that's a tricky one, though, I can tell you, because even where I live, I can tell you many times, I'll bet you for a year where I'm at, I'll bet will be 10 or 15 inches in a given year under what it would be right here in Salem or here at the radio station. That one can vary so much in different parts of a given county, and how they do that, I don't know. I'm kind of interested to go to this meeting myself if I can, and see. And then I told the guy, that's February the 5th. That's just about a week before Valentine's Day. I might take Mary Ann out for Valentine's dinner that evening. Yeah, brisket dinner.
Two birds with one stone.
Can't get much. Don't say anything. I haven't told her yet. So
I'm sure everybody will keep their mouth.
Hopefully she's busy right now, not listening to this, and springing my surprise. But at any rate, there will be a livestock risk protection meeting and pasture rangeland forage insurance meeting on February the 5th up at the West Side 42 Grill there at Vienna and call. You'd have to call Jim Hardicke about that, though. And I don't know Jim Hardicke, but I know there's people that do this, sell this insurance. And the insurance on this actually is subsidized partially by the USDA as part of the Farm Bill, encouraging people wanting people to buy protection against downside risk. So,
well, if nothing else, it's worth the dinner and find out what it's about.
Yeah, and again, that number for Jim Hardicke, if you're interested in this, is 573-680-1830. Right. So anyway, that's just kind of an extra freebie I threw in here.
There you go.
I seen he had his flyers up there. So
I mean, part of what the show's about, being brought to you by South Central Regional Stockyards, is to educate producers on what's out there, what's going on. Not only the great market prices that you get and how they market your cattle, but also how that you can protect yourself.
That's right.
And there you go.
Yeah,
there's another option there, and I'm totally unfamiliar with that. I would have no idea if somebody asked me about it. I couldn't tell you if it's a good program or a bad program or what the fine print says. We all know there's fine print insurance. You got to read it all, but have somebody present it to you, and at least you get the idea of what it's about.
And I know you don't have to be a big producer. You can insure 10 head or 15 or 20 head for a future price in time. Your calves being born this spring, you can insure them for a given price for this coming fall, for October, November, or December, a strike price, and so when you get to that time, if that CME price is below what you insured them at, then you will receive an insurance check for that difference. But if it's above it, then you will. Then you're on the hook to pay your premium.
Sure.
So, but it's kind of like engine. If you've got a lot of dollars invested in a car or vehicle or your house, you're going to insure it against loss, and that's basically what this is.
Sure.
You're insuring against loss, and you pay the premium, and you hope you never have to collect on the premium.
There you go.
If you have to pay the premium on these livestock risk protection contracts, if you end up having to pay the premium and you don't get a payment from the insurance, well, that's good news, because that means the cattle market just went higher than what you'd even expected it to be. So there it is. That's my 2 cents worth on there.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting. I wish I knew more about it, but I don't. And February 5th, again, they'll have that at the cafe right there at South Central Regional Stockyards. I think it's an excellent idea for a program, so I think it would be a fantastic thing for anybody who's in the cattle business. If you're interested or want to find out what it's about, give Mr. Hardicke a call and get up there and check it out. It won't hurt a thing. You don't have to do it.
Get a free brisket meal out of the deal.
You get a free meal, absolutely. And especially when take your loved one. You can do like Daryl is, hit Valentine's Day, put a box of candy right there in a little heart shape, and you got it made.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that, Stan. That's a great idea. Just make points right and left. Yes, sir. Yeah. I got a feeling if I go, I'm going by myself.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth. But at any rate,
I got a feeling if you tried that for a date, you'd be coming home by
yeah,
yourself.
yeah. We'll probably go out for a real steak dinner on Valentine's or something. Well, no, actually, I heard we already have. I think we already have grandchild babysitting duties on Valentine's Day. Yeah, I don't know how that worked out, but that's okay. We may go out the day before. But anyway, for a big steak dinner, it won't be chicken. I'll guarantee you that.
I bet not.
No,
bet
sir.
not.
No, sir.
Very good.
All right.
Well, Daryl, we always thank you for coming in and updating us. And the way that the cattle have been going, these have been some very good reports. We hope people, if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with Daryl or any of the gang at South Central Regional Stockyards. If you're interested, you want to find out more about their StarVac program, feel free to give them a call.
Give them a call.
They'll be more than happy to give you all the details. Again, as Daryl mentioned, Wednesday probably going to be a very, very small sale. We're hoping to have one, but they may not even have that. We don't really know what the weather's going to bring us.
Yep, we'll see. We'll know more. We'll know more by Monday afternoon. Monday afternoon. But we are planning for a real good sale the following week.
And we'll let
again
you
weathered,
right,
depending on weather and so on. So
Daryl let us know, and we'll let you know if there's a sale or not coming up on Wednesday. Weather pending, obviously.
Yes.
Well, we always appreciate our friends at South Central Regional Stockyards bringing you this program. We appreciate Mr. Daryl Skiles coming in and giving you the report. Daryl, always a pleasure to go and see him. And hate to bring in the cold weather, but you said, it's winter.
It's
you gotta
January.
expect it. Yep, gotta expect it.
Yep, I'd just as soon get it over with now as come in February and March when everybody's having calves and we're feeling like spring's right around the corner and dealing with it. So at any rate, we'll get through it. But everybody be safe out there and really and truly, and kind of try to get some things done so that you don't have to be out on the road and getting any more than you absolutely have to here over the next few days. And as you said earlier, stay and check on your neighbors and your loved ones and so on. So it could be a rough few days.
Very good.
Yep,
well, thank you again for coming in, sir.
Yep. Thank you, Stan. Glad to be here. Appreciate the opportunity. And we will be here then in a couple of weeks. And what will that be, Stan? About
Gonna be
February the 13th?
February 13th. No.
Second Friday?
Is it going to be that?
It's going to be February.
It is.
It's
My
be
gosh,
February
Friday
the
the 13th?
Friday the 13th.
Oh, my gosh.
The day before Valentine's Day.
Oh, now you're really pushing it.
Yeah. Yeah, the day we'll celebrate
Okay,
in
very
high
good.
style be here. So anyway, until we're back here, and everyone be safe with this weather coming in, but until we're back here, I do hope everyone will be safe, happy, healthy, and God bless each and every one. I'm back.